new here, then hi, my name is Erica, and today I'm just gonna do a quick video on something I saw that the Dad Challenge podcast Josh did on his other channel, the Josh Barbour Show. I actually got the idea for this video from another commentary YouTuber that goes by, I think, Mama Bear Says or Mama Bear Speaks, but either way, I will link their channel in the description of this video so that you can check it out and see where I got my inspiration from. But if you don't know, Josh from the Dad Challenge podcast started another channel called the Josh Barbour Show right after the trucker convoy that was protesting against the vaccine mandates in Canada, because he originally posted it to his main channel, the Dad Challenge podcast, but he got a lot of backlash from people because they're like, I don't follow you for your conservative politics. I follow you because you cover like the exploitation of children on social media. I don't follow you so you could shove your conservative politics down my throat. So then that's when he decided to start this channel called the Josh Barbour Show, where he basically covers current events, politics, all different things that if he posted on his main channel, it may start some controversy with his fans, because not everybody comes from that perspective of a conservative Christian. But anyway, so recently he did a video on the Florida Don't Say Gay bill and Disney, and how Disney is trying to improve the representation of gay characters and LGBTQ plus characters in the media.
Just them trying to mitigate the disaster. They were forced by a small minority of their employees. Again, I think they have over 250,000 employees or something, and there was like 120 people. That's crazy. That's kind of like Twitter. We're going to out these politicians. We're not going to pay them we're not going to give them any more donations. Disney was full bore against the bill, even though most parents are for the bill. And who does Disney get its money from? Parents, right? That's who they...
So one of the arguments Josh made that really pissed me off is, well, only like 1% of the population is LGBTQ plus. So why would we make stories about them? Why would we care about representation?
This is a meeting that got leaked where they're talking about how there's not enough gay representation in Disney characters, right? But if you look at the population of the LGBTQ community, it's like less than 1% of the entire world, right? And so what you're going to hear in a second is that they don't want an equal representation.
Of Proud Family, Disney TVA, the showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so
that's it. That little thing that she just said in passing was a huge deal for Disney. Okay, my not at all secret gay agenda. I just want to show you a couple of clips of that. But basically, in the end of the meeting, they said, we want over half of our characters to represent the LGBTQ community. Okay, which is not indicative of the entire world, right? They think this is what's called equity, not equality. Equity has replaced equality, meaning that in order to create real equality, for the time being, equity needs to take its place, which means that we need to completely go the opposite way of the way it used to be, which means that we need more representation from the minorities than ever was before, make that the minority, and then finally will equal out. That's what equity means.
So I just wanted to come on here and say something real quick. Josh is wrong about equity. Here, I'll read off a definition of equity so that you know I'm not making it up just because I feel like making it up. But he's totally off base there. I mean, are we shocked about that? Not really, because he's very ignorant to a lot of things. But I'm about to look up okay, so this is the Merriam-Webster Dictionary's website. So I think most people find that to be a pretty credible source, but if you don't, feel free to find your own. So the first definition that pops up here is justice according to natural law or right, specifically freedom from bias or favoritism. So since straight cisgender people have been favored for centuries, now people are trying to turn the tide. And why Josh would think that was a bad thing if he wasn't a homophobe is beyond me, because I mean, he kind of is a homophobe, so there's that, I guess.
They need to step farther beyond just equality and go and give more to these minorities that have been flagrantly, put off and put out to the outskirts of communities, and they need them to be the main characters for a little while. That's kind of what equity is. So that leak dropped, and then Disney stock dropped today, and it's dropped even.
Josh, you wouldn't know this, because even though you did grow up with some marginalized backgrounds, you didn't really see yourself that way. But when you grow up in a marginalized body and or any marginalized identity, and you watch TV and you watch movies and you read magazines and books, and you never see characters that look like you, talk like you, have the same belief system as you, experience the same things as you, you feel so alone, and you feel like there's something wrong with you. And no child should have to grow up feeling like there's something wrong with them for just being who they are. That is why representation is important, Josh. No, seeing LGBTQ plus characters does not make children gay. If children are gay, it's because they are. It's not because they saw a Disney movie with a gay character in it. That's total BS. And that just discounts people's free will. You don't just become something because you saw it on a TV show. You are who you are. And watching a TV show is not going to change who you are, but it may help you feel better about who you are. It may help you feel seen and less alone, and less like you have to conform to fit some standard that you never can, and a standard that's arbitrary and was created by people who don't want you to be yourself. It just really pissed me off that Josh would be like, oh well, if only 1%. First of all, like the other commentary channel said, I have no idea where he got those statistics from, because I've never heard that only 1% of the population is LGBTQ plus. But even if by some stretch that statistic is true, which, by the way, I don't believe it to be, but anyway, whatever, it doesn't really matter what the statistic is. If children don't see themselves represented in the media, their self-esteem is going to be shit. I can say that as somebody who is marginalized, not seeing people like me in the media and people that I could relate to, at least not in a positive, like not in a good way. There were characters I could relate to that weren't good characters or realistic characters, or they were just there as like a plot device to help the protagonist learn something. That made me feel like shit when I was younger, and it still makes me feel like shit, which is why I want to be a screenwriter and improve representation of all kinds of people in the media, because I see how important that is. I see how much that can impact you, especially when you're growing up and you're in that vulnerable, awkward stage where you first start to realize that you're a little bit different from a lot of your peers. During that time, like the late elementary school, early middle school days, it may happen before or later for certain people, but that was probably like a really bad time in my life. But those years will really affect you, and if you don't feel like you're being celebrated in the media, and you who feel like these movies glamorize something that you can never achieve, it reinforces negative feelings you already have about yourself, and that society's already telling you. So no, Josh, first of all, you really, your whole video was a mess, because ultimately the Don't Say Gay Florida bill is about censoring people and is about not exposing children to different types of people. Talking about sexuality and gender and all of that is not grooming. Like, yeah, there are certain ways, if you talk about it in certain ways, that could be grooming, but as a whole, just talking about it is not in and of itself grooming. And if you believe that, then you have some work to do. You have a lot of things to unlearn, because you are a homophobe and a transphobe. And I'm not sorry for saying that, Josh, because you are. And I find it so ironic that he used to pretend not to be homophobic and transphobic because he was friends with, or at least friendly with, Cece Suarez and Sloan, but the second they distanced themselves from him, he just is so overt with the homophobia and transphobia and biphobia and queer phobia that was always bubbling under the surface. And I saw it there since the beginning, because actually, and this, I may not have ever said this on my channel actually, but one of the first videos I watched of the Dad Challenge podcast, so this wasn't a great introduction to him. We got off on the wrong foot because I already saw that he was a bigot. he made a video about the Lil Nas X music video, Call Me By Your Name. Now, if you don't know anything about the music video, it shows him doing sexual acts with the devil. And Josh said that he was grooming children because he was on Sesame Street one time, and if you're ever on Sesame Street, you better not be open about your sexuality. That first introduction to Josh and his content showed me he was homophobic. But whenever I would tell people he was homophobic, they would be like, how? And I would try to talk about that and they would kind of brush it off. But now, like, the evidence is mounting at this point. Josh, we see who you are. You cannot hide that from us. But anyway, so that's the end of this video. It was pretty short. I just kind of wanted to get that off my chest because it's been bothering me. And it's not something, like, I could talk to people in my life about it, but I don't know, it's not the same. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you learned something or found this interesting, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you have not already and you would like to see more of my content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.